Rafael, Mariano, you have devoted your life to curb nuclear wars and the usage of nuclear weapons. This must be one of the toughest challenges you have faced. But I think the question in everybody's minds is, what is your assessment? What is your intuition about the probability of us, the world, facing the first nuclear confrontation?
Well, you know, there are two dimensions to this. On the one hand, there is the issue of the possibility of the direct use of nuclear weapons, which would be unthinkable. Here we have, like you are explaining, we're having a war between a nuclear-armed state and a non-nuclear armed state, which you know, from the very beginning signifies a huge fundamental difference between the two contenders. The other dimension of the nuclear thing here is one where we are at the moment working very hard, and is the possibility of a nuclear accident that would add to the tragedy of war that the Ukrainian people is suffering, as you aptly described just now. The possibility of a nuclear accident that would be derived of any kinetic or not attack on a nuclear power plant or any other release of radioactive material like the one we were and we were able, I hope, to prevent in Chernobyl. So there are these two dimensions, and in particular at the moment, as you may know, we are trying to go back to your nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, which is the biggest nuclear power plant in Europe. 6 nuclear reactors, 30,000 kilograms of plutonium, 40,000 kilograms of enriched uranium, and my inspectors do not have access to that. It's a very unprecedented, I would say, situation, because to add to the incredible peculiarity of this is a plant which is controlled by the Russian forces, operated still by the Ukrainian utility Energoatom, but in a situation, as you can imagine, which is unsustainable. And where we cannot have the appropriate access. So we hope to go there to be able to prevent that either there is a problem or we end up finding out that there are a few hundreds of kilograms of nuclear weapon grade material going missing. So this is what keeps us awake at night at the moment. It's a situation that needs to be prevented.
Thank you. Wow.
At the World Economic Forum, Rafael Grossi was on a panel, and he was discussing the situation of, well, precisely this, you know, nuclear energy and war. And he threw out some figures about the enriched plutonium that was at the Zaporizhia power plant. Now, the figures that he threw out inevitably lead to the conclusion that it's enough enriched material to create nuclear weapons. That is, that the Zelensky regime, the Kiev regime, had at the war, at the start of this war, enough fissionable material for a nuclear weapon. Now, as you know, of course, the issue insofar as nuclear weapons is concerned is not the bomb. Making the bomb is relatively easy. It's getting the material, the plutonium, the plutonium or the enriched uranium. That's the tricky part. And Mr. Grossi, one wonders if he did so on purpose or accidentally. You'd have to ask him. But he revealed that the Kiev regime had enough plutonium and enriched uranium at Zaporizhia to build nuclear weapons. The fact that Ukraine has nuclear power plants means that essentially they have the technology to build a nuclear weapon. And they were stockpiling fissionable material. You see where I'm going here. When in Munich, just before the war started, Zelensky started talking about how Ukraine ought to have nuclear weapons. And none of the other leaders said anything. Well, he was basically saying, you know, we've got what it takes to make the nuclear weapons. We should make them, right? It wasn't that he was going to Munich to ask them to give him nuclear weapons. He was saying, basically, we should build nuclear weapons with the stuff we've got, shouldn't we?
For the refusal, the fact that we refused from the third biggest nuclear power, we received the security guarantees. We are no longer we no longer have that weapon. Neither do we have the security. We have lost part of our territory, which is bigger in territory than Switzerland, Netherlands, or Belgium. Millions of citizens have been lost. All of that has been lost, but we still have something. We have the right to demand to move from the appeasement policy to ensuring the guarantees of security. Since 2014, 3 times Ukraine has tried to call for consultations for the guarantors of the countries who guaranteed the Budapest Agreement. 3 times, no success. This will be the 4th time today that we're going to do this. As a president, for the first time, but both Ukraine and me will do this the last time. We are initiating under Budapest Memorandum and call for and ask the foreign minister to have this meeting. And if, as a result of this, we're not going to guarantee of defense after this summit, we will think that Budapest Memorandum is not working, and all the package decisions of 1994 have been put in question and compromised. In the nearest weeks, I propose to call the summit of the countries of the Security Council with the participation of Europe, Germany and Turkey to resolve security challenges in Europe and come up with new effective guarantees, security guarantees for Ukraine.
As you may know, we are trying to go back to your nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, which is the biggest nuclear power plant in Europe. 6 nuclear reactors, 30,000 kilograms of plutonium, 40,000 kilograms of enriched uranium, and my inspectors do not have access to that. It's a very unprecedented, I would say, situation, because to add to the incredible peculiarity of this is a plant which is controlled by the Russian forces, operated still by the Ukrainian utility Energoatom, but in a situation, as you can imagine, which is unsustainable, and where we cannot have the appropriate access. So we hope to go there to be able to prevent that either there is a problem or we end up finding out that there are a few hundreds of kilograms of nuclear weapon grade material going missing. So this is what keeps us awake at night at the moment. It's a situation that needs to be prevented.
Thank you. Wow.